usually it's not a one-sided kind of discussion or telling, but I hope that we all can be very free to ask questions, to chip in, to put up, to tell us your experiences and whatnot. Because it's very important, and we put it on live Facebook so that others also can hear and listen to us. Or later we record it. Obviously, once we record it, people can also listen to it later. So we're hoping that we make it very informative so that others will be able to learn. Yeah. Okay, Felicia.
Okay, great. Good evening. Good. E-forum. So here we will discuss about.
Yeah, breaking up. I can't hear you.
And also on fitness and wellness.
Yeah.
And Prof.
There are times I can't hear you, Felicia.
Really good topics going on. We also cover topics like dengue and with me and Coach Francis. And then we have Coach Francis, with myself and Prof. Muhammad. So we are on Facebook Live, and this is.
Is Francis in already?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hi, Francis.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Felicia, your voice is not picking up. I don't know why you pause and then break,
At time it breaks.
What happened actually?
The internet line. So I think I also hear like bits and.
Yeah, okay.
We will try our best. Prof. Muhammad, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but again, as I said, sometimes it just disappear, the voice, and come back again after that. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, that's
probably clear.
Okay.
Okay. Let me try to use my Maxis line. Okay. Can you speak up again?
All right, Felicia, if you can use your data, that will be much better rather than the internet line, if the internet line is not stable.
Yeah. So because my dad and I are sharing the same line, so okay, now I'm using my data. So yes, okay, great. So perfect. Yeah, much better. So yeah, we are not on the same bandwidth. Okay, good. So let's get started. So tonight's topic will be very interesting. I think Prof. Muhammad, discussed with everybody on, our WhatsApp group that we are going to actually launch this 4 short courses. So we ask feedbacks from everybody, like, from course number 1, on courtship, from number 2, marriage, number 3, parenting, and number 4, it's on child upbringing, right? So today's topic is going to be on tips on how to choose a casual friend, a best friend, and a life partner. So I think everybody will be quite interested to know. I mean, especially myself, I also would like to know, because as younger generation, I think the millennial and the in the 20s and 30s, we are all we are all thrown into this bigger kind of like world now, that we have to sort of sort and choose our good friends, our work friends, our good friends and trusted ones, and also possible future partner, right? So yeah, Prof, up over to you to take over the session.
Okay, thank you, Felicia. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this topic is very interesting, and actually we just had a small discussion earlier, myself and Jasram, with regard to how we get together with our friend, how we subsequently, because of that, I believe it is important for us now to look into it more seriously. So basically, how do you decide that that person become your friend? And a lot of time, we have our so-called mindset and the way we want our friend to be our friend, the person to be our friend. And usually it is because there is what we call the law of attraction. Somehow we get attracted to that particular person by a lot of factors actually. One of the factors that I would say that it could bring good or bad effect is that it's just because others want to be, or others are his friend or her friend, we also want to join the bandwagon and we want to be his friend or her friend. So that is really, I think, one of the main things that we see among the the youngsters, especially because, example, like you start to appreciate or you start to idolize on that particular person, and because other people are also looking at that person that way, and you believe you want to be together in joining the group, so you start to idolize that particular person. Nowadays, we see that a lot of these so-called celebrities and all these kind of people, a lot of others who doesn't know them very well, but they idolize because of a particular nature that this person portray. So that is very, how should I say, could be very troublesome because it is not really you see in a whole perspective, but you basically identify that person based on other people's identification. It's not really yours. And usually, I mean, idolizing someone, example, those so-called celebrities is one of the things that people are doing. Not even a celebrity sometimes. In college, in schools, when someone is actually eyeing for this particular person and everyone appears to be also eyeing for the same person because they see that this person attracts so many others. So they want also to be in that group. So this is one of the reasons why sometimes we end up actually looking for that particular person, even though that person doesn't know who we are to start with. But subsequently, we try our best to be close, and because of that, right, maybe at the end of the day, after that particular guy or girl that you want to get close and get notice us, then maybe he or she can accept us. Then I think the friendship can go on very well. But I believe if that is the case, it is very important for us to take note. It might not be actually the right way to create a friend, especially even as a casual friend, because you go into for not the right reason. But as I said, there is what we call law of attraction. The second part, the second tip that a lot of people are looking at is actually when they believe this person is what we call like-minded with him or her. When you are like-minded with him or her, that's why the attraction comes in very strong and you want to be close. And sometimes that like-mindedness appears to be coming from because you were, again, as I said, you were longing to have this kind of particular character, you were longing to have this kind of a particular person that all this while you appreciate so much whatever that they are portraying themselves. And because of that, you come trying to be close to that person. But these two situations, the problem is it appears to be you are the only one who is actively or seriously trying to get close to this particular person. But unfortunately, the so-called the reciprocation from this particular person may not even be that as equal to what or how you see it. So that will be one of the important things. So as I said, in Malay proverb they say, berkawan biar seribu. So you can have many friends, but always reserve yourself from just trying to go really seriously with a particular friend because of the wrong reason that you had. Example, because of look, example, because of achievement, example, because of you think that others are also appreciating this particular person, example, because of, you were thinking that this person is much better than you in that sense, so that's why you would love to have this person with you as a so-called a person who can actually take the lead and things like that. So that could be the main problem with us all if we have that kind of an idea to start to have a friend with others. So the first tip will be, if you want to be friend with others, right, it's okay to actually have many friends, but don't get into being a friend just for one particular reason or one particular areas that you were appreciating. Because a lot of time you must always remember this particular person has many other domains, areas within themselves that you must be able to equally appreciate. Example, if you were looking only at the look, but then you did not understand the character, you did not understand the personality, then you may end up into trouble. So at least have friends, but have reservation from putting too much of your emphasis toward that particular friend. Because until you really know who this person is, until you really reach a stage whereby this person match with you in many ways, in all the domains, example, in the domains of belief, in the domains of intellectual, in the domains of social, cultural background, in the domains of academic, and in the domains of social status. So obviously, sometimes it's very difficult to actually go on with the relationship if you cannot meet up or equal to whatever that areas that actually you feel comfortable with, right? So the second part, the second tip is never put yourself as though you are the weaker one, expecting that that person have to actually take you up as a friend. Because by then, in that sense, if the person noted that actually you appreciate him so much or you appreciate her so much, but she does not need to reciprocate and appreciate you as much as you are towards him or her, then actually it will be a one-sided friendship. So that is very important. So you must always reserve yourself in that sense. Thirdly, I think you must know who you are. Knowing your really what is or what are your characteristics, what are your likings, what are your dislikes and things like that. Once you have that element, once you know that that is very clear who you are, what kind of person you are, your principles, your way of doing things, the way you have your mind towards things, if that is not being properly shared with the others and they don't understand you, actually you can easily become frustrated with that so-called relationship. These are only actually the basic level of just wanting to be friend with someone. And so while you are starting with friendship, a casual friend, just give time to understand each other. They need to understand you and you need to understand them. If it is one-sided, you are the only one who works so hard to understand them, but they doesn't appear to wanting to understand you. So obviously that is already having a serious problem. So I would stop there for a while to just give you some time to actually ask if there is any before I move on to the other aspects of how much later you can put yourself into the seriousness of being a friend from being a casual one to later being close to that particular person.
Yeah, I think
So I just
thanks,
wonder
Professor.
from
Yeah, thanks, Prof. Okay, good. So yeah, I think what you're trying to say is to, yeah, you must be an equal person. You must know yourself to be equal to the other person to be your friend. You know, a friend doesn't mean that that person is better than you, but you both put equal, invest equal time and effort, you know, to get to know each other and to invest in that friendship, right? And also I think one
yes,
of the tips maybe you can add on is to, like, I think what we are trying to say is to set boundaries. You know, when you know what you are worth or know who you are, you set boundaries in terms of how you know, how a friendship should be to you. So it's not one-sided. Yeah, how to set boundaries is probably maybe my question. And how do you let that person know that I respect you, so I also expect you to respect me as well, so equal relationship.
yes. Okay, with regard to setting boundaries, so there is what we call first is about physical space. Whenever you are with a friend, how casual that friend can be, But if that friend to start with, start to actually taking you not seriously and start to invade your personal space. For example, a personal space between all of us is actually maybe like 1 feet around us, or maybe about 3 feet around us. If our friend easily actually invade our space, personal space, then that is in a way telling us that he is dominating upon us, or she is dominating upon us. So if that personal space has been always been noted, being cared for, that person always be cautious about not only in terms of the physical personal space, and now even the emotional personal space. Example like making kind of a comment, personal comment, giving personal feedback which is not really asked for, without even asking for permission. That person is easily giving you those things. Then you better take note that, okay, he might actually, or she might actually don't really care for how you feel about things. So that could be another issue, because that will be the boundaries where our friend actually gone into your space, into your emotional space, into your feelings and whatnot, and causing you to feel a little bit awkward. But subsequently, when you are stuck with that particular person, he doesn't realize that he was actually using that. And to actually stop people from getting into your boundaries, you must have one important characteristic within yourself. That is, you must know how to be assertive. Assertiveness is very important. You must know how to say yes or no, put your feet down, and actually tell your friend, whoever it is that you want to be with, but you can always tell them this is what you expect of him. Because if you are not assertive, you have a tendency to remain quiet, and quiet sometimes, being quiet, sometimes people take it as though you actually has no feeling against it. You are actually consenting it. So I think it is very important to be assertive as one of your characteristics. And the other thing I think is your so-called, do you know your principle? Do you know how you see those things, and did they know how you see your way of having relationship with them? I think
Mm.
that is it most important. If you be honest, talk about it, open up, right, and share before things go beyond. You can always actually put a stop and say, stop before it goes serious into that kind of a situation. Maybe that person doesn't realize it goes overboard, but whatever it is, if you can and you cherish the relationship, maybe you have to be frank about it. If that person cannot accept, then you know already it might not be the friend that you are actually looking for. So I think in terms of boundaries, it's very important to say no in many things.
Yeah. And I also, yeah, that actually made me think a little bit about, certain friendship. Now we are talking about, social distancing, but now that actually people can just invade your space by just texting you, right, or WhatsApp, or demand your attention by calling you, sometimes at very odd hours, and treating you like, maybe like a personal, for lack of better words, maybe like a personal therapist to vent out emotion. And sometimes as a friend, that we or that person may not have the capacity to unload all those problems, so they will end up loading all the friends' problem, right? So these are very common. I've heard this among ladies, especially. I don't know about men, but ladies, I would say working adults, or probably retired 40s, 50s, so they have friends that can be a bit more toxic, in the sense where I feel that it's already like them demanding the friend to listen to them. And even though, let's say, for example, I'm a friend that wants to give an advice, no matter what I say, this person actually is just looking for a place to vent out her emotions, right? So that could be actually quite toxic. And how do you think, like, if that person in this situation right now can be assertive and say no, or set the boundary? They say, I love you, or I like you as a friend, but there must be a certain time that you can contact me, or there are certain things that, you know, maybe this is a topic that you want to, you know, talk to your, let's say if it's like a spouse problem, talk to your spouse, or how do you deflect, or, you know, how do you help to, how do we say no without offending that person? I think most people, they are scared because I may lose this friend, although this person is you know, already like, you know, already quite being you know, bothers you, you know, in your emotional space and everything. How do you help that person to say no but without losing a friend? Or is it okay to sometimes, you know, it's expected to lose a friend, but we are actually trying to help that person?
All right. I guess we need to know these two aspects of friendship. One we call a social friend. Another one, we want to take a role of being actually a friend who can help this particular friend who has trouble. Because once we have given this idea that actually we can help, or we have the ability to help, that's why this friend of ours trying to rely so much on us. And unfortunately, since they don't have any other people that they can really trust, they want to open up to you as much as possible, but they don't realize that sometimes they go overboard and get into your so-called private time, private space, you know, and things like that. And I believe there are these kind of people who become dominating in a way, who become possessive in a way, who rather become very obsessional with you as a friend and how that person look at you. Sometimes that person just want to be close to you in that because he believe that after talking to you, he feel good about it. But for you, you must realize this aspect. One, is it just as a social friend, or actually you're already given an idea to this particular person that it is not only social friend, but you are always a friend that is all that is will be there to listen to her problem and whatnot. Because sometimes when you pass that message to this particular person saying this kind of a thing without you realizing it, that's how they actually get hooked to you, get stuck to you, wanting you to actually, you know, give them a good advice and be there for them all the time. So it's sometimes we are giving a message to them which is not even right, because we are saying that okay, you can always, you know, I'm a good listener. You can always talk to me anything. But I believe if you want to be a professional friend or a friend who really got can help, but not towards what we call invasion of a social personal space, you must tell them at the very upfront, saying these are your limitations. We can still be good social friend, but very sorry, as a friend, I hope you can actually, in a way, appreciate my time. So my time is only with you, only maybe up to 8 o'clock in the night. So you must say that clearly to them. This is how I say being assertive helps you a lot. If you are not, people don't really know, and if you're not telling them, they assume that you don't have that kind of a limitation. So I think it is your way of actually putting things on the table right in front of them, who you are, why you choose him as a friend, and why you actually sometimes take a role of actually a listener. And most important, quite a number of times, people who are actually feeling lost with many problems, and when they see you as an inspirer, or they see you as taking a role of a guardian, or they see you taking a role of a big brother or big sister, they see you as, you know, a person that actually they can sort of like lean on to. So because we were giving this impression, so they did not realize that they go overboard. So the best thing is actually be frank with them, tell them clearly. If ever it is, never, first important is never to be angry about people who actually rather maybe not knowledgeable, maybe naive, maybe having trouble, maybe desperate. We should not actually give a negative so-called feelings toward them because we believe that they have gone overboard. I think they are rather weak than us. So because of that, they were using all this method to get our help. But there are people who actually for other reason. Example, some of them actually take you for granted and believe that you can be manipulated and believe that you can be actually put into under their so-called command, and that you must take note these kind of people, because there are people of this nature too. The people who actually manipulate you, who disrespect you. So you must know somehow what are the telltale signs of this so-called personality, in a way the so-called the personality that leads into causing other people more trouble than feeling good about the relationship. And usually there are quite a number of conditions that you can take note. Example, if someone is narcissistic or someone always portray them as a very most the only important person, the self-important person, the most selfish person that you can see, so that won't be a very good person to be your friend to start with, even as a casual friend, because he
Mm.
doesn't care about you, care about yourself. The other person that you must always also remember is the one that clearly noted to be antisocial in nature. In terms of personality, they actually are quite reckless. They don't care about others. They actually, if you can see that they will actually cause a lot of problem with rules and regulation. They doesn't really respect others in the sense they disobey them. You can see this antisocial kind of personality. And in the adolescent age, we are worried about this antisocial traits, or what we call conduct disorder. Sometimes we know already they do all those things that is against what we call the norms that everyone that wants to go as a person who has some dignity and be respectful by others. So these two personality is very important for you to understand, so that you are aware of what is going on to that this person who are close to you, whether they are having antisocial nature, or we call it somehow we call it the old term is sociopathic nature, and then the other one is the narcissistic nature. Then there's another two group of people that you must always remember. The one that always cause also us trouble when we are friends with them. They are the histrionic, the one who quite manipulative in nature. And every time when we are having trouble with them, they over dramatize. They seek a lot of our attention. They just feeling that they are the most important person, not you. So they burden you so much. So this histrionic nature is also very important for you to take note if you are having a friend of that nature. And the fourth one is the one that causes you feeling bad with the relationship is the borderline personality. The one that always have trouble with their own personal image or self-image, but unfortunately, when they are befriending you, they are actually threatening you if ever you were actually ridicule or you were ever actually looking into their self seriously, and you want to make negative comments, or you want to tell them what is right, what is wrong. They don't like to listen to that. So these are the borderline personality who is always having a self-image problem. So these four personality you need to know. But before all this, it can be just a trait whereby in certain situation you noted this person are always not what we call a fair person in any relationship. They are always a one-sided. They are the only important one. Then if that is the case, be careful about actually going on having that particular relationship or friends with them. But you can still be friends then, but you know how to put your limits. I don't mean that you actually shy away and turn away from them as and not to be their friend anymore. If you think you still can be in charge, you can still be their friend. But if you think you are feeling toxic, you better tell them clearly. If they still goes on that way, then you say very sorry. You can't actually continue that relationship with them, because during this time around, if you continue relationship, they get stuck to you and you cannot get out of them. So that is when the relationship may turn very sour, and they take you as a best friend, but you don't feel that way actually. So
Mm.
subsequently, some people, I remember some cases that I seen in the family problem and whatnot. Somehow the partner, maybe the spouse, the wife, the future wife to be kind of a thing, somehow cannot get out of this relationship. And because of that, it got stuck until they get into marriage, until they have children, and by then it's very difficult to actually undo the relationship that they have. So we need to be, I would say, the second, the third tip, or whatever it is, the fourth tip is actually you need to educate yourself with understanding people's psychology. And that is where I think emotional intelligence is very important.
Okay. So
I think
that's a really good insight to it.
Yeah. Anyone else that feel having anything that you want to chip in now at this time? Okay, let me continue with regard to actually having a casual friend or a friend that you believe it can be much actually deeper than just a casual friend. If actually it is a mutual friendship, when you use the word mutual, that means, yeah, there is what we call give and take from both sides. You feel good about it, they feel good about it too. You give and they get, and they give and you get, kind of a situation. That means both are mutually understanding each other, respecting each other, responding to each other with due diligence, in the sense of, watch out how people's feeling are, watch out how people's so-called minds are, so that they won't go overboard. So I think most important is to get close to someone, you must achieve a stage where it has become mutually mutual in nature as a friendship. Mutual respect, mutual understand, mutual give and take, mutual in any aspects and every aspects of what it should be in a relationship. And only then you can make it as a best friend for you. Yes, Francis, anything that you want to chip in?
Yeah, basically, I think it's more on our side than the other side. Because if let's say we are our esteem, sometimes our personality is need to seek approval. That also can be also be taken advantage of, right? So sometimes some personality they cannot make own decision, they cannot stand firm. So everything they have to seek approval, you see. So I think it's more on our own side than the other side. But if let's say I personally I feel that if the person who I in my circle, if they are draining my energy, then I would not burn the bridge, but I will give limited time. Yeah, limited time. So major time for major people. That means to say, end of the day, a friend should actually help to build each other, right? Not to put a person down. Okay? Rather, or we say we don't make use of people. Don't make use of people. That is the most important thing. But if you feel that you are being made use of, then I think we should be mindful. You see, like this case, this is a good forum. If let's say I face this issue, that I have to call my psychologist to ask him about a short a so-called counseling, you see, or so-called to ventilate off, you see, rather than you keep. No, that's very dangerous, because you keep because sometimes I feel that for myself, let's say I feel bad. Let's say somebody made me feel bad. I find difficult to tell the person off. So then I really answer that article, which is not good, actually not very healthy. I must also sometimes tell the person how I feel about it. Correct or not? And then some people, they have an intention to praise you. And I would say that, but they are not. They actually they want to hit you. You see. So actually, if let's say we become judgmental, also problematic, because we also don't know their background. They could have had some other issue, you see, personality issue. So if that's the case, I think I'm in a position to solve his or her problem. So I would rather to identify this problem, then maybe I should suggest that we need to see someone to help you to ventilate off or to get understanding about this pattern, you see. So I've seen people, for example, divorce cases. After divorce already, with a short period of time, they're going to get married again. Then they get into the same circle again. Not too long ago, they're going to divorce again. Now, how do you look at that? What was the issue that when a person have a broken relationship, they shouldn't jump into another relationship as quick as possible? What was actually the psychology behind it?
Okay, very interesting, very important question, very interesting question. All right, I've got quite an experience asking these kind of people. Basically, you know, what happened to a lot of these so-called person who get into, again, the same mistake over and over again, is one of the key is basically they are quite desperate to be noted that they must be like any other person. Example, like if they are in a broken marriage, they say, no, we cannot accept a broken marriage. I must be in marriage. That's why out of desperation, they find another friend, they get into marriage as soon as possible because of their own belief that they cannot be a single person. They cannot take time to actually re-look at what is going on. And so a desperate person will always end up with another trouble. So that is one. Actually, it's okay, you know, Francis, if you believe that you are strong enough to guide, if you believe that you have the capability to assist, I would say I wouldn't feel that person is toxic to me, or that person is actually pushing me in that sense, feeling unhappiness with that relationship. Because I think I have the ability, the tools, the maybe, you know, the way to actually handle the problem. So if you feel that you need to build up your strength, your tools, your so-called your ability to handle problem, so that is very important. From now on, all of us have to continue learning, getting more and more knowledge about, and getting more and more skills on how to handle people. Because I think it gives you an idea that you won't stay stagnant. Actually, based on whatever experience you have, you become better and better because you equip yourself with a lot of knowledge, and you equip yourself with competencies, skills, and base and whatnot. And to get all those things, you must have a teacher, you must have a guide, you must have a coach. So that is why we are all here together to share, because most of us are already in a way, you know, reaching our 60s, in our late 50s and things like that. I guess our experience is much more for us to share. So each and every one of us are still learning. I can tell you, we are still learning, even those in the 60s, in the 70s, actually, we have never graduated from learning. So we can continue doing and learn. I think that will be one. The second, out of desperation, actually, again, if I think that the person is actually a borderline person, that means a person who actually cannot stand on her own or his own based on people's comment of his self-image. And that's how this person actually trying to get some approval from other person. And that person, maybe they're trying to get our approval, saying that they are okay and whatnot. But we also noted that they are not okay. So when they notice that we are not pushing them up to feel good, and that's why they actually maybe was looking for us to come to that term, whereby we appreciate them much better. So as I said, these are the so-called the person that get you into more trouble when you continue the relationship with them. But the way out must be, you must be able to more knowledgeable, more competent, and able to manage and help them. Because to me, people, when they get stuck to you, is because they were hoping that you can really help them. We cannot feel so tired. We cannot feel so burdensome if somebody is asking help from us. I think our nature is always trying to help people if we can. I think that is number two with regard to this particular person. The third reason, I always ask this so-called domestic violence case victim lady, when they have problem with the husband, and whatnot, and then they got divorced, and subsequently they married again with a person of the same nature, you'll be surprised. The answer is very interesting. The answer was saying that I cannot get a better person. I actually, I will never get a better person. So this is a concept of self-punishment. They believe that they have already done not good, so they cannot be better. So they continue looking for the same kind of person to befriend. Example, like, we had one situation whereby this lady divorced the husband, managed to divorce the husband after domestic violence, subsequently married another person of similar nature, characteristic, and then get into again the domestic kind of abuse for the second marriage. When I asked her why you end up that way, she said that basically, I don't know how to get a better man because I only know how to get this kind of a man in this kind of a place that I've been socially quite actually used to. So the story is that this particular lady is a contractor, and how he get the first husband is based on the social meeting among them, and so they end up in marriage. And subsequently, they feel that they cannot get a better person, so they end up looking for another same guy kind of a thing in the same situation, in the same environment. So obviously, when you go into the same place over and over again, you will get the same kind of people around for you. If you can get out of that situation, you go for another new place. That's why they call it, if one group is already toxic to you, move on to another better group, a group that actually will be much more helpful to you rather than a similar group. Because we take note, yeah, birds of a feather or birds of a feather always flock together. So we don't know how to get out into that situation. We don't have new groups of friends. And I believe it is very important to tell them that they must actually stop or severe that kind of a continuation by moving on to another better group of people. So that could be another issue.
I think what Prof has mentioned is really important. I think we have to create a support system. A group of people. Sometimes, some of us are not very lucky, probably with the upbringing. So maybe that will be the fourth cause of child upbringing, right? So some individuals are not as lucky to get both balanced, mother and father. Sometimes it's an absent, parent, and that could also affect in how they behave and how their relationship, happens during when they're adults. So I feel that one has to have good support system and knowing who are the people that they can open up to. I think people should know their boundaries, like they cannot just open up to everybody, because certain people, they cannot have that reserved judgment, or they will just take your secret and tell somebody else, right? So you have to be very careful in also choosing your trusted circle. And that is probably the struggle that people have, so they may just keep everything inside and not share with people. So I think having that support system is very important. And I think one of the things that when people are in this situation is that they are also antisocial in their way, because they don't actually they just keep to one circle, or they don't even have many friends. Actually, one of the most, I think, common factor is that they don't really have that support system or that good close circle of friends that they can share their worries about, or if they can reach out if they have something not right, or they need help, somebody to listen to. So hence I think people should or we should think about how we can also create a life outside of just that friendship, of that relationship. We cannot just trouble one person with everything, that is including the spouse, that's including also the friend. You cannot just do everything with one single friend. So I would always I always feel that I have different groups of friends, so that I have different interests, and that would not load my so-called friendship or relationship onto one person. So you may have interest in books, so maybe your friends are not into books, so you find different group of friends that are in books. And you have friends that can talk about or traveling, of about food, or friends that you can have deep conversation with. So I think the most important is to have all these different group of people, so that we can create something to move forward, because I guess everybody is there to support you in some way, or you also is a support system for someone else. So I think that's very that's fair, I think, for the people that for the friends or for the partners that you have. And also as you also can have more different people that you can expose yourself to, and not just like if you're just in one toxic kind of environment, and you're stuck there. But if you have different group of people that can support you in different ways, I think that's a good way to create more positive environment, and also for you to know that, oh, okay, this is how you can function in the community, not just like, oh, I'm just one-sided. I think we are all very multi, we have different kind of different kind of we offer different kind of, how do I put it, offer different kind of ways or different purpose. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, maybe you can help to summarize that, Prof.
Okay. Basically, you have to be a person of diversity, a variety of how you do things, how you react to things, how you see things. So you actually have multiple way of looking at things here in all various form. So that means to get to that, you must be at least knowledgeable, and you must actually in a way discuss, share, and talk about it and learn from others, because with our own self, maybe our experience is still inadequate and whatnot. So you must be a person who actually are quite not rigid in a way, and not having many tools to overcome problems. So as I said, you have to be competent in your social life. So to do that, there are learning process. It never stop learning process, never stop asking, never stop questioning, never stop actually getting and looking for answers. So if you have that kind of attitude, you will be much better equipped, because you are always actually trying to get an answers to the problem that you might have. And the other thing with regard to relationship, actually each and every one of us, if ever we want to have a relationship or friends with someone, we must actually have one condition. They call it having a friend unconditionally. Accept the friend as much as it is, who that person is or are, but with that, without condition, you don't make any judgment, you didn't give any kind of negative ideas, that the way you attitudes to that particular person and whatnot. A friend should be a respectful friend, mutually understand each other, unconditional and in a way, non-judgmental. I think this is very important. If you can note that that is your friend, subsequently that is when you can move on to the next level of being a close friend, next level of being a person later you want to be your life partner. Because unless you reach to that stage of understanding, only then you are quite sure you are actually having a good relationship. So I think if that is the case, how fast you should be actually knowing if this particular person, actually it's a matter of how good you are, how competent you are in the sense of assessing this particular friend of yours. So as I said, to be able to do that, you must be knowledgeable, you must be a person who actually learn from someone, even though your time is too young, you have not much experience, but at least you are more knowledgeable about it. You are not naive in that sense, right? A lot of issue that happens to all of us in terms of relationship, and one of it is being a naive person who doesn't know what is going on. So I think it is very important for us to take note about that. And the other thing I would say with regard to this particular situation, whereby if you want that person to be your friend, despite you know that that person is actually not really to be taken as a good friend, but just as a casual friend, just to say hello and to be respectful of that person, You do your part. If that particular person doesn't do their part, it doesn't mean you just shut them out, you don't respect them at all. You still hold on to that, because you'll be surprised at the end of the day, sometimes these people do what we call a turn around. They realize what their mistakes are. They realize why subsequently the relationship that you have with them turned sour, turned cold, and then they wanted to make a difference. So that's why I always believe that it is not a gone case if someone is having something of that nature. You still can play your part, and you'll be surprised. That is the most satisfying thing, if you can make a difference to a particular friend that you think you cherish their relationship with you despite of whatever their shortcomings and difficulties there are. And never give up. Never give up being a friend to anyone, to everyone.
I think in
But
Malay,
as
we
I said,
always say bersangka baik, and we always have faith and hope in everybody.
yeah. For us, we always use what we call not only bersangka baik, but if ever someone is not good, always pray for them to be better. We always put our doa so that they can also be better. It doesn't matter who they are. We can always pray so that they end up having an enlightening and opening up of their so-called heart and their feelings and their emotion. And you'll be surprised if we consistently, persistently push for those kind of a thing, subsequently, it will make a difference. That's why in a lot of sour relationship, if there is still a room for you to hold on to, why not? If you are stronger, if you can really manage those things, why not? Move for it. Try to do as much as you can. And don't ever feel give up, because once you feel give up, you may actually, at the end of the day, become, how should I say, as though that you are already like allergic to this situation. And once you become allergic to this situation, it will bring a lot of negative side effect and response. So better not to create that kind of a feeling within yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I think, but at the end of the day, I think as a person, sometimes we must also be careful, or as individuals, one should not also feel that they need to save somebody or change somebody, because at the end of the day, when you have that kind of expectations and that person, because we are not God, we cannot change that person, right? So that person has to change themselves, including ourselves, if we need to change, right? And not to blame yourself if things doesn't go well, if sometimes relationships are broken, friendships are broken because of that. But I think wishing them well, praying for their for their well-being, and also for a change of heart, or becoming a better person. I think it brings you peace. No point, I think, cursing the other person or hoping that person unfortunate, because you will end up actually, it's like we don't want to create anger and hatred, because that is actually poison to ourselves. Yeah, so I think that's very important. One of the things I think, in this situation, not just how to choose, but if you decided that it doesn't work out, there shouldn't be any we should try to resolve it rather than pushing it away, so then we become allergic, and then we probably get into the same cycle again, because there's trauma, right?
Sure. I think the key word is here, learn how to let go. Sometimes there's always a time whereby you cannot do anything anymore. Then just let it go. Just, let it be. And then still you maintain as a friend. You don't hate that person. You don't actually despise that person completely. You're not, talking to that person kind of a thing. You are still a very respectful person in any way. And subsequently, you are still the person who non-judgmental, and people will see that in you, that so-called that high quality that you have within yourself, high personal principles and whatnot. I think you still can actually continue doing that. Learn how to let go easily if things doesn't work already according to how you hope it can happen. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with letting go. Even in marriage, it's okay if you have to let it go, you have to let it go.
Okay, that's good. So we have a good 1 hour session. Maybe is there anything we want to summarize in terms of we've been talking about tips on how to choose a casual friend into developing the relationship and possible also in looking for a life partner. And Prof has mentioned some of the characteristics or traits people to avoid. Sometimes we can get into toxic relationship or friendship without knowing and how to set boundaries and also knowing how to let go, right? At the end of the day, yeah. So is there anything anybody would like to summarize before we end this call?
Yeah. Any Jasram, Sharifah, anything that you want to add? Can see your perspective.
I've been reading about human personality also, but so based on my reading, what I understand is that certain personality that human develop is basically due to the holes that they had during their childhood. That being said, is that like certain times like the parents doesn't give them proper attention or the proper love. So what happened is that those holes that they have during their childhood, they bring it to their adulthood life, and because of that, their personality revolves around that around the holes that were in childhood. So I think understanding those also we need to understand those because that is important in understanding a person's personality. Because for example, a person's like you're having a group conversation and suddenly a person comes inside and diverts the attention to himself. So probably understanding the reason why the person does it is also important, so that we can actually guide ourselves how to interact with these individuals. And also like before we can make any friends, we also like we shouldn't judge someone once we have made them our friends. That is also very important because once you start judging people, once you're a friend with them, that will just ruin the friendship between the two individuals.
Yep.
Yes, very true, Jasram. Most important is that you must always, in a way, as I said, respect people. Don't give any judgment upon people because you don't know what they have gone through, how their life have been since young until now, kind of a situation. So you will never be able to understand them unless you get close to them. So sometimes they want to be within among you, but unfortunately they were not able to because they were stuck with their so-called old traits that they are having right now, and the situation that they are in at home until now is still the same. They were not able to actually relate to elders, to peers and whatnot because of that so-called traits that they are going on. And to take note that personality is, by definition, it is a well ingrained, pervasive kind of a characteristic that someone shown after the age of 20. But we can always, once we realize that we have that kind of a pervasive nature, which might not be good, if we realize that, we can always redefine the way we put ourselves forward. So this particular person, if you can help them to subsequently redefine themselves when they are among their friends, when they are, so that's why I say that if you are more knowledgeable and then you have a skill on how to impart this knowledge and how to make them still like you when you give this feedback, then actually you're doing a lot of good, not only to yourself, you feel good about it, you're also doing a lot of good to this guy who actually, unfortunately, was somehow being programmed faulty in that sense, but somehow you were able to bring him out of that situation when he is actually with you as a friend. So that's why I said the role is it a social friend or is it a professional friend that you want to have with them in a professional manner? Or is it, as I said, a casual leisure kind of situation? Or is it a serious situation that you want to put forward? So you must always be able to put everything in a proper perspective. And if possible, tell your friend who you are, what kind of a nature you are, because unless they know who you are, only then they will actually trying to, if they cherish their friendship, they will try to bring themselves very well with you. Because usually all these people were doing all these things because they don't really know who we are. So that's how I look at it. Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Okay, Jasram.
Thank you, Jasram. Thank you, Prof.
Good. Thanks.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, so we'll be back next week at the same time, 9 p.m. And we will announce the topic soon. What are the interesting? Yeah, what are the interesting? Relevant topics that we can sort of engage with more of the audience. We have also people tuning in live from Facebook, and also once this video is being recorded and uploaded into YouTube, so more people can actually have a look at it and see how we can be a more effective, not just in choosing, I think, a friend, developing friendship or a more deeper level, or a life partner. I think also we ourselves know ourselves more, how to be a good friend, how to work on ourselves as well. So yeah, we want to see, we begin with ourselves, right? Starting with the man and the woman in the mirror. So we want good friends, we have to be that person, right? The law of attraction. So the mirror. Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining on this call.
Amazing.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Prof, for your insight once again.
Thank you, Prof.
So
thank you.
Thank you, Sharifah. Thank you, Noreen. Thank you, Jasram. Thank you, Coach Francis, for being on this call. And so we will end this call and see everybody next week. So have a good Merdeka. Have a good celebration with your family, friends, wherever you are. Stay safe. And don't forget to wave your Jalo Gemilang on social media. So the spirit lives on, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine's big. Yeah, mine's very big. Thank you.
Yeah, got yours.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
good. Yeah. Stay active. Yeah, stay active, stay well, and we'll see everybody next week. Yeah.
Yeah, see everybody.
Everybody, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Alright.
you.
I'm leaving now. Thank you.